You may recall that if you have a noun and then you add ni suru after that noun, it means that you're like choosing this noun. And you often use this form at restaurants. Like you might say, inarizushi setto ni suru. I'll have the inarizushi meal. Or I've decided to order the inarizushi meal. Or inarizushi meal, please. Now, do you remember how if you add koto to a verb, that it basically nounifies the verb? It kind of turns the verb into a noun. So with that logic, if you go koto ni suru, it means you are basically choosing to do the verb. Here is a sentence. ランチを今食べることにするわ. So ランチ, lunch, を今, now, 食べることにする. So I've decided to eat. 食べることにする. Wa, feminine, haha, so saith I, lady. So I'll eat lunch now, you could say in plain English, but literally with all the nuances intact, it's more like I've decided to eat lunch now rather than later. Now, this suru does not have to be just in plain dictionary form. It can be in past tense, it can be in polite form, it can be in want to do form, it can be in other forms. So let's look at some sentences that use suru with different conjugations. あの映画を見ないことにしました. So this is しました, past tense polite. So あの映画を, that movie, 見ないことにしました. I have decided to not see, basically, あの映画, that movie. I've decided not to watch that movie. Or I've made the decision not to see the movie. スイーツを食べないことにしている. So now we're doing the している. So is doing, basically. So 食べないことにしている. If you say ことにしている, that means I've made it a habit that this verb. Or I've decided to do this verb and I'm still doing this verb, or it's my policy to do this verb, basically. So スイーツを食べないこと. So 食べないことにしている. I have decided, I've made it my policy, and I'm still keeping it up, to not eat sweets. So I made the decision to not eat sweets, and I'm sticking to it. I've made a habit to not eat sweets, or it's my policy to not eat sweets. Here's a different verb form of suru. 来年、日本に行くことにしよう. So しましょう, しよう, volitional, let's. So 行くことにしよう. Let's make the decision, basically, to go where? 日本に, to Japan. When? 来年, next year. So let's finally go to Japan next year. Or let's take the plunge and go to Japan next year. It kind of has that vibe to it, because it's like, let's finally make this decision. Let's actually do this next year, basically. Here's a phrase that comes up a lot, actually. そういうことにしておく. It's kind of a sassy little one-liner that you might hear in anime. So that can mean a lot of different things. You can translate that a lot of different ways depending on context. So そういうこと is the way you said it. そういうことにしておく. So しておく is to do something for later, basically. You may remember the te oku version of verbs. So I'll believe you for now. I'll let that slide for now. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's assume that's true. I'll leave it at that, or whatever you say, or even just whatever. Literally, I've decided that what you said is true, as it may come in handy later to have done so. That's the whole nuance behind that sentence. If you want to go over any of these sentences, check out the pinned comment or the video description for timestamps. Also, check out the links to other places to learn Japanese, as well as my other playlists. I have a Watch Sailor Moon Learn Japanese series. I've got Japanese for beginners if this was a little too complicated for you. And I also have a Patreon if you want to give me money and get study materials in exchange for it. On that note, thank you to all my patrons for supporting this series. And I hope that you tune in next episode when I cover Made. Ganbatte ne!